Hello Virgo, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan, illustrated by Mark Evans. Yep. Supportive Oracle cards, Magical Spell cards by Lucy Cavendish, illustrated by Jesse Reisch. Reisch is R-E-I-S-C-H. How does this get stuff on it? Like, it's like a magnet for it. I don't understand. I don't use this all that often. Anyway, moving on. What do we have for Virgo? Okay. Starting off, oh, you got a hidden card. So it looks like you have a lot of emphasis on getting something to stay where it's supposed to be. You're putting a, okay, so I got energy. You got a couple more cards, and these are the ones I'm going to hold up for right now. You got the Seven of Wands, but then it's blocking the Eight of Swords, which is the question, I think, is what it is. Are we holding the line? Is it like we're succeeding in something and we've gone through our battles and we're just holding it to make sure we get through this and we don't screw this up? But then there's the question behind it. Am I actually working towards a goal, or am I just kind of like hostage or enslaved to this situation because that's the way I've been doing it? Like, am I running the rules, or are the rules running me? I think that's how I'm looking at this. Are you running the rules? Are you in control of the rules? Or are those rules controlling you and it's not serving you? That's the question. And I feel like you're going back and forth. Like, Virgo's about getting things done the way it should be done. But it feels like I'm questioning, like, the way we've been doing this, is that correct? Like, I don't know, I just keep looking at it and I'm just like, I don't want to go against the rules, but I'm like, but if it's taking us the wrong way, maybe we really should. I feel like I'm pulled back and forth. It's like I don't want to really buck the system, but at the same time, I don't want to be just sitting here complacent with something that's wrong. So I'm not sure what to do with it. On the other hand, right behind it, you have also energy in the Seven of Pentacles. You got a lot of sevens going on here. Well, there's two. Is there another one? There might be one later. We'll see. I'm trying to figure out what to do, and it's kind of like I'm sticking with it, and I'm getting a lot done. I feel like you're communicating, but it's kind of like you're looking at this kind of like, I think somebody should look into this a little deeper, or maybe you're going to look into this a little deeper. One of the two. You're either sounding the alarm, and if you will, this really needs some more attention. We need to look at this a little deeper to see if this is right. Oh, and I feel like a lot of you are kind of looking into it yourself, just a little bit, kind of like, you're not going to waste your effort. So like, if you can't really change it, you're like, well, I'm not going to go crazy about that. But if I can give the right person, like, hey, I know we keep doing it this way and we've done it for a long time that way, but I'm thinking this is creating an error. I think this is making things go wrong. You're not expecting anything to happen quickly. You're just kind of like, I'll put out the information, we'll see what happens. And that's how it's going at this part. When you sound the alarm here, I keep saying sound the alarm, like sound the alarm. It's heard. Somebody's taking you very seriously. It's almost kind of like somebody's looking at you like, oh, the Virgo thinks we should maybe change something? Like, wait a minute, what? What did the Virgo say? The Virgo thought this might be going wrong, or this might be leading to a bad ending. We're like doing something that's not working out. Well, then they're looking at this like you personally. I feel like somebody's looking at this like, well, if the Virgo wants to do this different or is considering that, maybe we should really look into that. Somebody's taking you very seriously. Kind of like if you're saying maybe we should do something different here and you're pointing something out, they're like, well, that's obviously an issue. Like, they don't believe you'd bring something forward just because you're bored or just kind of like just to talk. You bring it forward because you really think it's an issue. You're being taken very seriously with the Page of Cups and the Aphrodite's love spell. Now, you're being taken seriously, but this is a page energy. So, like, I feel like this is somebody taking this information and furthering it on. Pages are a little bit different. Like, it depends what's going on with them. But with the energy with it, it kind of reminds me, like, especially if this person looks very young, maybe they don't have the ability to change the situation themselves, or maybe they don't believe they do, but they do have connection to other people, and they just have to express what they're feeling. Children have more power than they give them credit for, you know what I mean? Like, when a child is very happy or expresses how they feel about something, usually that has an effect on the right people. Kind of like, oh, that's good, they're responding to that well, okay. You know what I mean? Not that this person's a child, we don't want to go that route, but I'm getting like they're taking this information and they're sharing it with other people. They're taking you seriously, and they're like, you know what the Virgo said, let me push it over to other people and see if we can get something going about this. This feels like a relay system, though. So the right person does get a hold of this. Whoever that Page of Cups is, the star gets a hold of it. This feels like a person to me. When I'm feeling this, it could be an Aquarius. It doesn't matter. Like, don't get caught up in the sign. Like, the star card does talk about Aquarius. And I'm feeling like somebody's like, well, you need to look into this. Somebody else is kind of like, yeah, I thought that was a little off there myself. And now other people are kind of pulling it forward. Maybe we'll find out what's going on with that. Maybe this is a good time to research that and get a little deeper into it. You also have Justice coming in. This is something that's overdue. And I feel like somebody else has been looking at it going, yeah, I've been thinking that's a little off there. I've been thinking that's not quite right. And now that people over there are saying, you know what, they don't think it's right either, maybe it's time to really research it. Because it's kind of like they're looking at this kind of like, yeah, I was thinking that was bad. And now we have the support of people in that area, namely you is what I'm thinking. And they're like, you know what, we could probably find out what's really going on here and maybe find better ways to do things. Let's start researching that now. This is creating a whole change. The Death card is coming in, and I'm getting a whole change. A big change is coming in. This is just the beginning of it. When it comes in, I feel like, yeah, you were right. You were out there with it, kind of like, yeah, something isn't right here. Something needs to be updated or done differently. But when it finally comes forward, it's kind of like, oh, kind of like now that the energy is coming towards you and the attention's on you, you're like, oh, because you realize you don't have any control about how fast something changes. You put out the information, it got relayed, the right person heard it, changes are going to happen, but now you're like, I have no control about what these changes will be and how fast they're going to happen or what's going to go on here. You're kind of like, oh boy. I mean, you did the right thing and you did what you knew was right, but you're like, okay, now that it's changing, okay, now we're doing it. And especially because the Death card comes in, like, this is not going to be a little change. Maybe that's why. You put out the information thinking maybe we could just kind of hone it in a little bit, tighten it up, smooth out the edges. And they're like, well, we might change the whole process. And you're like, no, okay, we're going to change the whole thing. It's almost like whatever this is, it's connected to a few different things. And like, if we're going to change this piece and correct this, there's a lot of other things that this is going to affect, so we're going to correct everything at once. We're going to make this whole situation go better. And you're like, oh, okay, then we're going to do that. This is good. This is really good. In the environment, somebody's making the choice. It's the best possible decision. Literally, that's what you got down here. It's time to change the process. It's time to make it go differently. It's time to correct what's not right. In the long run, I really think this is going to be really good. I'm noticing, though, when it does happen, you've got knowledge with the Five of Wands. Kind of like, oh, yeah, okay. And you're like, it's hard for you to change. It's kind of like, I wanted some change. I didn't want a complete overhaul. It's kind of like, I wanted to fix the house, not move. Like, it's kind of like that's how it feels. Where it's like, I wanted to fix this room. I wanted to fix this area. I didn't want to put a whole new add-on here. Because that's like a whole different thing. Like, well, if I put a whole new add-on here, that's a whole other thing I have to deal with. And it's kind of like, well, the add-on, like, well, it's not going to be totally an add-on. What's going to happen is we're going to demolish this part of the house and then rebuild it and then build that add-on with it. And you're like, what? Wait, what? Like, you're going to do what? You're going to demolish part of my house and then rebuild something extra on it with everything else? Like, that sounds like a lot of work. Like, but I like this part of my house. Well, we got to redo it. It's very, like, it's kind of like, you know it has to happen. You're not, like, against it. I keep saying like. Why do I keep saying like? The knowledge is there. Like the knowledge, I think that's why, because you do know. You do know that this has to happen. But it's like really difficult. It's kind of like, yeah, but this isn't going the rate or speed or the way I wanted it to go. And you're just kind of like, it's uncomfortable. The Five of Wands doesn't have to be that bad. I just feel like it's going to be uncomfortable. Let's just go there with it. What happens is abundance does come in. Divine guidance, but there's abundance here. There's one more card. I'll show you in a second. You're not just changing just to change. You are having your voice heard. You're kind of like, well, I opened my mouth about this situation, but I opened it for a reason. So if this is all going to happen, I'm going to make sure my voice is heard, and we're going to at least change it in a way that helps me as well as the situation. So you are, I feel, even though the Hanged Man is here, I feel like that's why the Hanged Man is here, because you're putting your voice in. You're like, okay, well, listen, I understand we got to change all these things, but this is what I'm seeing, and I don't want to go through all these changes and end up still at square one where I was before. So let's talk this out. You're helping this change occur. The Queen of Cups at the end is telling me everything does work out. This is like an emotional card in the sense of like it considers everybody's opinion. It almost feels like this is another person coming in, almost like, I don't want to say mediating, but kind of like hearing your concerns and what you're adding to it, hearing what needs to be changed and what they're adding to it, pulling it all together so that everybody's cared for. This is somebody who cares for everybody. This is a very good card. But I'm feeling like you're going to be taken care of when all is said and done. It is going to work out. I feel like they're just giving you a heads up. When the changes actually start to happen, it's going to be a bit uncomfortable for you. But when it's all said and done, this does have a happy ending. So it's saying you also got to, like, whoever this person is, speak their language. And I feel like you're going to know what that is. Like, when you're talking to somebody, if you're doing a long explanation, there's certain people who eat that right up. There's other people that just kind of like roll their eyes. They don't want the long explanation. So think about who you're talking to. This person's going to be very beneficial to you. They might be beneficial to you even further down the line. Anything else with that? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.